Hey, this is just a quick reflection, review, recap on the movie Moonlight, which I got a chance to see last night. So if you're interested in hearing my quick thoughts, I only saw it once last night. Please stick around. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And welcome or welcome back. It's Angela, and we're talking about Moonlight, the movie. So I had heard that it was kind of slow, and I could kind of see, that sense of slowness that someone would talk about. I was really okay. So, I really enjoyed the film. I thought that it was. I thought that it was well done. I thought that the main character, Chiron, which was spelled when I saw it written, I thought it was Chiron, like the planet. And I meant to look the planet or the tributary or whatever. I wanted to look up the astrological implications or, kind of what Chiron represents astrologically. Because I'm like, is there a connection? Was that intentional, or is that just the way that, they happen to spell his name, Chiron? So I might look up Chiron if I think about it. But the people who played Chiron, the people who played Chiron, the movie was in 3 stages. So we had information about him as a young man, or scenes with him as a very young man, maybe like 8 or 10, like a little boy. And then we had scenes with him like a teenager, like 16. And then we had scenes with him as an adult, maybe 25, 30, something like that. And each of the young men who played him as he progressed, I thought that they did an excellent job of I felt the continuity between the actors and the character. And to me, they even looked like I could see them being a grown-up version, a growing up version of the same person. So I really appreciated that. And oh my gosh, the little boy who played the baby, those eyes. But I mean, all of them had, something with those looks that they were given. But the little bitty baby, them eyes, girl, man, boy, woman, them eyes. I just thought he was absolutely gorgeous. So it was set in, the film was set in, for the most part, it was set in Florida. I think it was set in Miami. And we come upon a young man who is kind of just out in the world. We see a scene where he is being pursued by a group of other young men who are, catch that faggot, get him, get him, get him. And he's running, and he goes into, I don't know what this is, but he's checking doors, and it's like apartment building, hotel, abandoned. But he goes into one, locks the door, and then the kids come through to the back. Let's go to the back. And they're throwing bottles and stuff at him. In the first 2 parts of his life, the first scene, he is called Little. It's part 1 is Little, part 2 is Chiron, and then part 3 is Black. So they come around and they're throwing bottles at him. And then this man, we hear somebody knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door. And then they take the board off the front of the unit, complex, whatever it is, and they're like, hey, little boy, what you doing in here? And the little boy is just looking with them eyes. And the man is like, well, I'm about to go get something to eat. You want to go get something to eat? Takes the boys to get something to eat. Little ain't got nothing to say. He's not talking. Then the man is like, well, I'm going to take you to my woman. You give me that food. If you're not going to, eat, if you're not going to talk to me, you can't eat. And the little boy looks so sad. He just looked down. He's clearly hungry. But I'm so nervous about this man, because I'm kind of like, what is he doing with this little boy? Is he, going to be his friend and then be a predator? I mean, what's going on? I didn't know it was, but spoiler alert, he ends up being a good guy. So he takes him to his woman, and the woman, maybe she feeds him again. She might feed him again, because we find out that he does like to eat and he's hungry. But it turns out that his mom is using drugs. And at the beginning of the film, we see her in her nurse's uniform or in scrubs, with ID on and a job. They have a TV in the house. And I had read that she was a crackhead. But I didn't, when they first showed her house, I was like, she's a functioning crackhead. But as the movie progressed, we saw the TV disappear and the general condition of the home deteriorate. So that's the mom. She has an issue with drugs. And the man who rescued the little boy from the little apartment complex that was abandoned, he is a drug dealer, it turns out. So he has younger people on the streets who are working for him. He seemed to be about 30, 40. He's, a man. And, his woman is friendly to the little boy, and they eventually find out where the little boy lives, Little. And Little, when they take Little to his mama is upset that this man has her son. And I couldn't tell. I thought she was upset because where he said he found the boy, which is like in the trap area, that's the impression that I got, where there's a lot of drug activity. So I thought she was upset because she assumed that he was a drug dealer or involved with that stuff. But I think she was just upset because basically she just, upset and want to be high. That's what I think. They end up having a lifelong relationship, Little, with the man who rescued him and his woman, who's Janelle Monáe. I can't remember their names, so forgive me. So Janelle Monáe and this other chocolate dude who is Cuban, but he's real chocolate. They end up having a lifelong relationship with Chiron, and he ends up kind of being able to connect with them at various points of his life when he's in need. And as his mother deteriorates, he's going to be more and more in need, even though he's getting older, so he's a little less in need. But you still need people. So the first scene, we see that he's getting bullied a lot, or the first part of his life, part 1, we see he's getting bullied a lot. There is a little boy who says, you need to fight him and let you know you're not a punk or something like that. And he's like, I'm not a punk and I can fight. And the little boy's fighting. The other little boy is like, yeah, I thought you could fight, but we don't see him fight. The boys who are bullying him. Then we flash into high school, and he's basically being bullied again. There were a lot of people with locks, long locks, the security guard, some of the kids. I'm like, is that a Cuban thing? So anyway, we see flash into him being in high school, and they're still calling him gay. He's still being bullied. There's like one guy in particular who really seems to just really love bullying him. That's something I don't really understand, the whole concept of bullying. Like, I feel like if you don't like somebody, then just leave them alone. If you don't like them, why you keep dealing with them? But this little boy is just heavy into bullying Chiron. And there is a sort of a light in his life, which is another little boy or young man, they're teenagers now, who calls him Black. And he's relatively friendly to him. And, they end up connecting at some point outside, and they smoking weed together. And this young man, I don't remember his name, but this young man who calls him Black, and he like, why you call me Black? What kind of guy gives another guy a nickname? I mean, that's some, but they end up smoking weed together and having a sexual encounter. So, and there had been one scene early on when he was a kid, when his mother was yelling at him. We couldn't really tell what she was yelling, but I had kind of thought she was calling him a faggot. I was trying to read the lips. I don't know if she was, but we see him flash back to a dream of that as a teenager. So he has this encounter with this other young man who had been relatively friendly to him, or very friendly to him. And then this other, so that's like, and then, if he has been gay, and when he was a little kid in the section 1 Little, he had a conversation with the drug dealer and the Janelle Monáe, the character that she plays, about how do I know if I'm gay? And they were like, well, you'll know when the time has come, and you keep your head up and you be strong. And meanwhile, his mama's calling him a faggot. He had asked, how do I know if I'm a faggot? And they're like, you don't let nobody call you faggot. You may be gay. And he's like, well, how do I know if I'm gay? But don't let nobody call you a faggot. And they're like, well, you'll know when the time comes. So he's had this encounter with this guy who's like the one moment of light in his life. We see one scene where he goes home as a teenager, and his mama's like, you can't stay here. You got to get out of here. You got to go someplace else tonight, boy. You better get out of here. And he goes, and then when he comes back the next morning, his mama is like, well, where were you at, baby? Oh, you didn't have to leave all night. And she's being friendly to him in a, crack out kind of way. And she then ends up turning into this full-fledged, give me your money. Where's your money? I want all the money. I need money. Don't ask me why I need money. I mean, the acting is excellent. I have to say, the acting is excellent. And that actress reminded me of, she does a lot of Tyler Perry stuff. I can't think of her name right now, but she really reminded me of her. I have to check to see if that's her. But she has done a lot of Tyler Perry work. She's a beautiful, African featured woman. he's had this encounter, and this is part 2, called Chiron. Is that his name, Chiron? I think that's his name. Chiron. We're gonna go with that. He's had this encounter with the guy who calls him black. They're friends, they've connected sexually, and then almost the next day or the next scene, we see that the guy who's been bullying him gets the other guy to fight with Chiron. And it's kind of like this, everybody is trying to fit in and survive. So it's almost like the other guy has to fight him in order to survive. He doesn't want to. It's called Get Up, Get Down. I don't know what kind of game they playing, but you hit the person, then if they get up, you hit them again. And that might be some boy stuff. I don't know. I don't understand. So then at the end of that section, Chiron comes into the classroom. He gets beat. After that, he gets beat by his friend really, really bad, or kind of bad, or whatever. He gets beat by him. He comes into school the next day, and you can tell he is moving with a purpose and with a mission. He comes into the classroom. He's late. He picks up a chair, and nobody's really noticing him. And then he just starts beating the bully, just beating him, the guy with the locks. So that's the end of that section. I think he gets sent to jail. We tune back into him, and he's a drug dealer. He's living in Atlanta. His mom is in Atlanta in some sort of drug treatment program. We see that he gets a call from the guy who had been his light in section 2, Chiron, and now this section 3 is called Chiron. This section is called Black. So he gets a call from him saying, I've been thinking about you. I'm working as a chef. I went to jail. When I was in jail, they had me do some cooking. I found that I love it. If you ever get back to Miami, I'll cook for you. Homeboy with the beautiful eyes gets on the road and goes from Atlanta to Miami to see this man. The man is like happy to see him, but kind of like, what's up? And then he ends up cooking for him at the restaurant. And look, my light is just leaving. He ends up cooking for him at the restaurant. They kind of start to have some wine. Well, where are you staying, man? He don't say nothing. The man who plays the main character, adult, I mean, the acting is just so good because he says so much without saying very much. So he ends up going to stay at the friend's house who had been his light in section 2, Chiron, who had been his friend who ended up beating him up, but not out of his own initiative, but just the following initiative of teenagers. And the movie basically ends with, him telling his friend, you're the only man who's ever touched me. And, I think his friend could tell, shoot, his ass got on the road and went from Atlanta to Miami. Like, I ain't heard from you in 10 years. And, I hear from you, and I'm here for it. So he gets on the road, goes to Atlanta, and I think the movie ends with them in bed together. I guess his light, you just kind of get the feeling that, maybe they have a chance to be happy together. His friend from high school is kind of like, why you got grills in your mouth? Why you driving this kind of car? That's not you. And the little boy is like, well, or the main character is like, well, when I just rebuilt myself. So in the first 2 parts of the movie, Little and Chiron, he's being bullied. In the third part of the movie, we don't see no sign of him being bullied. It looked like it would be hard to bully him. So anyway, I loved it. I thought that the acting was excellent. I don't know why I was kind of hesitant to see it, but I am glad that I saw it. It kept my attention. It was a slower paced type movie, but everything don't have to be, blowing up, guns, explosions, chases, and all of that for me to enjoy it. I thought that emotionally it was not a slow-paced movie at all. I thought that emotionally it was a fast-paced movie, and that there was a lot going on that was not said. Just a lot of feelings conveyed. I just can't say enough about the quality of the acting and the casting. So I would recommend it. I think I would give it a 9 out of 10. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And it's won awards. Yeah. So thanks for watching, liking, subscribing. And remember, fabulous, be you, be fabulous.